What's going on? So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through kind of a behind the scenes of what's going into our new scaling processes as we continue to kind of shift into a different business model. Not really new business model necessarily, but it's kind of a different structure than how we've been doing things in the past. We've done growth partnering and things like that, just built AI companies. We've built software companies and that kind of thing. But right now we're really switching into a mass validation model where we're validating a bunch of different types of businesses and figuring out what's actually the best product. And this is a step that most people skip, honestly. Most people should be validating more than they are just like trying to go with the business model that they currently have. So I just want to kind of walk you through a little bit behind the scenes of what's going on inside of our company, and I'll just kind of show you, we're going over a lot of different things today: validation, content strategy, outbound strategy, a lot of different things that we're using right now. Also, the landscapers decided to pull up right when I was about to film this, so hopefully they'll stay like on the other side and not to be too loud. But just to be clear, $10 million generated online last year, spending over $1 million a month, well over $1 million a month right now in ad spend. Every single month we have around 20 million follower portfolio, hundreds of clients helped, hundreds of industries. You get the deal. The goal with this channel, I'm not here to sell you anything. I just am here to build a community of cool people, gain some reciprocity with the world, and attract top talent. All that I ask, you give me some feedback. If you hate the video, if you absolutely despise it, just go leave some hate in the comments. It'd be greatly appreciated. And if you find it valuable, pay the fee, which is sub or like. So let's get right into it. I don't want to waste any time today. So to be clear, for the past probably month and a half, we've just kind of been stagnant on on the amount of clients that we've had. And we've been kind of debating, okay, do we want to scale or do we want to just kind of stay at this client level and charge more, get rid of the bottom 10%, implement a new top 10% into the business. And to be clear, we're running a bunch of different AI systems. We're helping businesses scale. I love to solve growth problems. That's kind of what I focus on, is growth issues and solving that kind of problem. A lot of people will try to go and solve just ops or just getting leads. I like scale growth as a whole. Leads are typically a big part of that. Sales is typically a big part of that. And some businesses are bottlenecked with operations, but that's like a 20% problem, while leads and conversions like 80%. So that's what we try to solve. We've been bottlenecked around this like 40 client spot for a while, just because of like fulfillment issues. Fulfillment isn't necessarily completely like cooked, but it has been slower to fulfill than we would like. And we want to get our time to first value. We want to get it, better results. I mean, we've literally helped like hundreds of different industries, but now we've been able to kind of like back up and look at, okay, what actually makes the most sense to scale into and what makes the most sense to drop less spend into. So we're validating a few different offers right now. I'm going to walk you through kind of our validation process and our validation cycle and how we're thinking about that. But yeah, one thing that we're doing from a fulfillment side, we're potentially thinking about switching to ClickUp for project management instead of Airtable. That's what we're kind of using right now. But it's just kind of getting clogged. People aren't really using the system as well as they should be. And so I think that ClickUp could be a potential solution. But if you have experience with ClickUp, please just like text me or DM me. I'll drop my number here. Text me. I would love to hear some insight from anybody that's out there that wants to tell me kind of how they have thought that ClickUp works. This is my personal cell right here, so shoot me a text. And if you have no clue about ClickUp, but you have any other questions in the video, shoot me a text as well. I would love to connect with you. So yeah, launching a new offer. This is the first thing I want to talk about. Like I said, we have run a ton of different offers in the past. I always like to be validating. I'm not one to just say, hey, let me do this one offer, because then it becomes commoditized. You see all these people that go out there and they say, okay, we're going to do growth operating, build a school community, or we're going to do growth operating, but only high ticket. Or people will go out and say, hey, I'm a copywriter or a video editor. It's like those offers are just completely commoditized. Like there's no way that you can sell that offer because you don't stand out at all from everyone else who's selling literally the exact same thing. And so that's why I always like to be validating new things and testing new things, because novelty is what actually creates like that novelty bias in people's heads. So I always like to be testing new offers, validating new things, and trying to figure out like what's new and what can work the best. And I never want to be tied down to like just one offer or one business. A lot of people, like Alex Hormozy, talks about this like one channel, one avatar, and one one group, but I'm very anti-niche in my opinion. I've worked with a lot of different niches and I've been able to gain a lot more insight because I can take something that's, say, working with corporate and extrapolate that and impose that over top of, like, say, a mom and pop. And now I have an insight that the rest of the market who just works with mom and pop doesn't have, right? So that's kind of, how I like to think about launching new offers. And so To be clear, kind of what's actually going on, the process that we're using is just like our validation cycles framework. And I'm going to walk you through that in a second. To be clear, we've launched this offer like around 3-4 days ago. So far, not hitting as hard as we wanted to. It's not hitting hard enough, but it is doing pretty well. We're still like definitely ROAS positive on it. But we just like haven't really spent enough, honestly, to have good data on it. We spent like $500, $600, something like that. But we haven't actually spent enough to actually get enough data. And I'll show you kind of like where we're at in the validation cycle in a second. But we kind of realized one huge thing that we realized that's like an insight is that statics just don't work for complexity. It's like what Tai Lopez calls the grandfather bias. It's like a cognitive bias. It's like, okay, if somebody's grandfather didn't buy this thing, like if you're selling, if you're selling a couch, everybody knows what a couch is. They know the purpose that it solves. They know the pain that it solves, and they know the desire of having a nice couch. And for something like that, you can run a static ad. But for something that's more complex, like a whole system, if you're selling a whole system, it's got to be a video ad. Statics just aren't converting as well. We were splitting our budget originally just like on an ASO standpoint, like from the ad set level. I try to, I guess it's ABO is what, I don't know why I said ASO. It's really ABO. But yeah, we're basically splitting the budget from the ad set level. And I just don't like the way that was kind of getting us results, because we were splitting, 50-50 on statics and then video ads from our campaign, right? So instead, we turned off the static ads, going all in on the video ads, because the statics just weren't converting at all. We had actually like pretty decent statics, but they just weren't converting as well for like what we needed. And so if you're selling anything that's like super high ticket, if it's super complex, if it's not like something simple that like if your grandfather didn't probably buy one of them, you probably shouldn't like run static ads. If it's something that needs to be explained that's more like complex or more sophisticated, run video ads. But yeah, it's about the complexity of the process. So validation cycles. So this is kind of how we validate any sort of new offer. I'm going to run you through this exact system right here. We usually run around $500 in ads. We usually test, we really test in like 6 days. We test 3 days in, and then we make a change or an adjustment, some sort of optimization after 3 days. We're typically running around $100 a day, maybe a little bit less depending on if we turn off statics or whatever. This could be really $500 to $700 in ad spend. It could be more, it could be less, depending on like what we're doing. For us, that's what we test with. For clients, we sometimes test with more or less, depending on what their budget is. But we start by running like $500 in ads, typically around $100 a day with 3 different angles. On this ad specifically that we have been running over the past few days, we specifically put in I think 2 static angles and then 2 video angles. But in reality, we should have just done like 3 video angles. That's what I would recommend doing if you're doing something more complex. If you're selling like fitness coaching or something like that, then you can kind of get away with just statics. But yeah. Then we waited like 6 days. So ideally, you're waiting like 3 days, making an adjustment, seeing if that changes anything, and then waiting another 6 days. So we waited 3 days. We turned off the statics, turned on the video ads. Now we're waiting 6 more days. Then we're going to be able to figure out after that, do we expect the ROAS based on the booked calls that we have to be over 3x? If so, we're going to relaunch 3 new angles, and we're going to spend more and raise the spend. We're going to scale the spend. If not, then we're just going to like relaunch the campaign, but with 3 different angles, 3 new different angles. So that's kind of, what our process is there. Then we typically wait about 7 days. If that is successful, then we're going to relaunch the campaign again and scale that. We're basically just going to take the campaign that we currently have, relaunch it, and scale that until the ROAS is no longer efficient. Then we go back down, and really, I guess we would be, if the ROAS is no longer efficient, we'd really be just like relaunching the campaigns, and that I guess should be like from here. I don't know why that did that. It should really be from here to here. Yeah, so it should be like really just like relaunching the campaign. Then you're going to wait this should really be like 6 days. And so if it works, you're just going to keep scaling it until the ROAS is inefficient. And you got to understand that all angles, all offers, and all ads eventually will fall off, right? And here's a great example of it. Here in my garage, Tai Lopez. Brilliant ad. Very, very, very good psychological triggers throughout the ad. If you go watch that, great one to study. Also, here in my backyard is another banger one to study. If you just go to Ty's channel and then hit popular, you'll see all the ones that he's run paid traffic to all have like 100 million views. Go watch those videos, 50 to 100 million views. But I digress. All angles will eventually fail. Here in my garage, eventually after, a few years probably of him running that ad, eventually, like literally everyone in the market had seen it. So he'd hit all of his TAM, and the cost was just no longer efficient. So all ads will eventually fail. It's just like, do they fail up front or do they fail after a long time period because you've been running it for a long time? And there can be ad fatigue, which is like where you just like relaunch the campaign basically, but all ads eventually will fail. They'll get way more efficient, but eventually there's just not going to be like profitable. So that's why whenever you find something that's like a winning angle, spend a lot of money on it right from the start. That's what we found. Because like we talked to a guy yesterday, or Isaiah did. Isaiah's my business partner if you don't know. Talked to a guy yesterday, it's one of our clients that's been getting, I believe he said like a 7x ROAS on Google ads. And he's only spending like $100 a month or a few $100s a month. And it's like, why? Like, I don't think it was 100, but I think it was like maybe $1,000 a month or a few $100 a month. It's like, why? Like, if something is working to a 7x ROAS, you should be just like basically putting your nuts on the table and just spending as much as you possibly can. That's kind of how we think about it, is like, if, take TikTok, for instance. TikTok, I believe last year they spent around $18 billion in advertising, but they got like a 10x ROAS on that. So like, if you knew that you were going to get a 10x ROAS, why wouldn't you always spend that much money? So that's something you need to really think about, is like, okay, what's the ROAS on these ads? And if they're, ideally, if they're above like a 3, well above a 3, you should just be like spending more. So that's something that a lot of people don't do. They don't like tell the advertising model. And the advertising model, the way it works is just AI. So when you spend more, you're telling the algorithm, hey, I like what you're doing, continue to spend more. And then when you don't, like when you take your spend and turn it off or turn it down, like if you go from $100 a day to $75 a day, it's like, okay, I don't like the performance of this ad. So just think of like, how are you telling the algorithm like what you want it to do? And so that's kind of the validation process. That's how we validate new ads, new offers through paid ads. Our goal is to do that as fast as possible. Like this cycle should literally be as fast as possible. So like, for example, one way you can speed up this process is instead of spending $500 over 6 days, you spend it over 3 days. And so you can affect the results by doing that in theory, but not super substantially. The faster you can validate an offer, the better, right? So rapid validation is a huge, huge best practice for us. Next up, briefly just want to talk about outbound strategy. We don't do a ton of outbound anymore just because it's not as efficient as paid traffic. Paid traffic is also like way cheaper when it comes to like you pay for a VA and you pay for like proxies, and you got to pay for accounts, and then you got to pay for like all this different stuff. Outbound is super efficient, but it's not nearly as efficient as paid ads. Paid ads are more efficient, they're cheaper, they're less work. There's not the headache of managing people, which is very, very annoying. I like to cut the headcount as much as possible, keep our team as lean as possible. And so it just makes more sense to run outbound. Now, we've tried a lot of different outbound strategies. I would venture to say that we've sent like well over 100,000 messages through the years of doing outbound. Maybe that's an exaggeration. I'm just kind of like making up a number off the top of my head, which I don't usually like to do. But I think that's kind of like a realistic number for how much outbound we've sent. I think that's pretty realistic, honestly. And we've kind of tested a lot of different things with outbound. Biggest thing that I've found is that direct outbound does not work. Like direct, like, hey, I do this. Can I send you a video on this? Or, hey, I do this. Can I do X, Y, Z? That stuff doesn't work anymore. And we're finding even like for our clients, like for example, one of our clients does outreach for his growth partner business. And he's doing like our Loom strategy, our leveraged Loom strategy, which we teach inside of our incubator program, which again, not here to sell you, but we do have a whole piece of our incubator program that talks about how to do that, breaks down literally every step of it. But instead of sending Looms, they're like, hey, here's what I offer, buy my shit. It's like nobody cares. Nobody wants to buy your stuff. You just have to get them to like you, and then you ask for a referral. And that's what's really ripping right now with outbound. That's what we're finding the best return on investment, best like ROI is coming from that. So you outbound them, you say, hey, you seem like a cool guy. I think you could be making more money. Boom. here's some strategies that I used. And then you ask for the referral. It's another thing with paid outreach that works very well if you're going after like influencers. You say, hey, how much to hop on a 30-minute call? Boom. And then whatever they say, you hop on that call and you say, okay, here's what I do. You lay out the land. And then basically you say, hey, who are like the 3 people that you know that would be willing to send over, or that you would be willing to send over that could potentially benefit from this. That stuff like works very, very well. We call it the rain run method. Basically, you're just like asking, okay, you get one client and you say, hey, okay, who are the 3 clients that you think could really benefit from this? Or who are the 3 people you think could really benefit from this? And on a referral, as long as you have over a 33% close rate, you're literally just going to have like an infinite supply of clients when you do that. And on a referral, you should have over a 30% close rate. So that's why that 3 people, who are the 3 people that you think would benefit from this service, really works very well. Another thing that's working very well that we're testing out is trust building in the local market. So I'm from Charlotte. I've been doing some like outreach stuff to people from Charlotte specifically, or not even outreach, just like send them messages. Hey, I see you're from Charlotte. Good to connect with you. Love seeing other Charlotte brothers kill it, or something like that. Works very, very well, and from like a response rate standpoint, insanely well. So if you have a market that you're going after and you can target that market inside of your local area, for example, if you live in, say, Chicago, and hey, I have all these people from Chicago that do the same thing or that are influencers in Chicago, or say you're from Miami. Say, okay, I see you're from Miami. You could outreach to all these like broccoli-haired kids, and basically say, hey, I see that you're, in Miami. Boom, let's scale. And so that's like one way that you can really build a lot of trust is if you're local to that place. Or even if you're not local to that place, hey, see you're from X. That works very well because then they're like, okay, is this dude from X? So see you're from Chicago, then they're like, okay, this dude might be from Chicago. Let me reply and see what he's all about. So this is just like an extra little bonus hack for the people that have made 17 minutes into this video. Content strategy. You've been seeing these videos. I've been uploading this type of video literally like every day. I'm wondering how long it's going to be before I get like quote unquote burnt out from this style of video because it does take a lot out of me. I mean, genuinely, it's like 2 hours a day to make all these Loom videos, or make the Loom video itself, make the lucid chart, whip up the actual idea. That's like kind of the hardest part from a scalability standpoint. But I've been really modeling like Ryan Klug. He is an absolute GOAT. He does very, very similar styles of content. I really respect what he does as well. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. I'm thinking about implementing some more like stuff where it's just like me yapping like this. I mean, I like the style of this. I can whip this up, and I feel like it's very valuable to a very select group of people. But that's like what I call like the antiviral strategy, right? I like absolutely despise everybody that falls into this algorithm trap. And I did this in like literally like 2 days later, by the way. Serge Guattari started doing the same exact style where he just basically yaps. He yaps more about like his day in the life, which of course he's like a bigger influencer, so cool. But I see that there's a lot of people moving towards this. People don't really like the algorithm anymore, and with the like increased supply of content, you have to look at content like with the supply and demand curve, right? With the increased supply of content, there is like the only way to compete is to just be able to produce more content, and to be able to produce it at a higher quality as well. Like that's really what it is, and so that's kind of what I'm doing, providing very, very specific value to a very specific group of people. Most people will not find this video valuable, but there's a select group that will. So that's what I call like the antiviral strategy. I'm not trying to go like viral. I've looked up to a lot of people who are just like in this virality game, and I've just found that virality is not important, right? I don't get clients from going viral. I've had viral videos in the past. At one point, my TikTok had like 50,000 followers, and that was when I was just posting like basically rage bait, like anti-drop shipping videos. I would take like a drop shipping video that somebody posted, and I'd just be like exposing their website. Boom, here's their AliExpress link, and then I would basically just expose them by showing that they're buying the product for 60 cents and selling it for $19. And so that was kind of what I did for a while, and that worked very well to go viral, but I didn't get any clients from it. It was just like rage bait videos. We've also tried like the, just like motivational style videos where I'm walking, like you can see it on my Instagram, like this style of video, you can see this got like way more views than all these other videos, but like, does this really bring that much value to the audience that I want? Um, Not necessarily. So this is just kind of like it's a fire lifestyle post, and I see a lot of people that do this. They try to copy like Jack Hopkins or like Hamza or like any of these people, but going viral doesn't get you clients at all. Perfect example. This video here literally has like 1,000 followers or 1,000 views on it, but this video got me a client, right? Because this video was pushing, and I'll show you how we do this. It's literally just pushing to a long form from YouTube. So one thing I want to say is the easiest way to get more views that are in your target market is post content. Second best way is to repurpose that content to multiple platforms. I have a whole video on my YouTube as well. If you scroll back, I think it's called like how to post 100 pieces of content a day, from like probably even like a week or two ago that I filmed, basically walking you through like the exact steps that I use to post like hella volume with content, and how we repurpose and the softwares we use. So go check that video out after this one. But yeah, the hardest part of content is just getting rid of the dopamine brain of, hey, I got 1,000 views or whatever. Like YouTube is like the ultimate dopamine. Literally every video I could post literally any video and it'll get like 1,000 views. But here's what we're doing to actually like get these views from the reels. So again, we're posting these like long form videos, or I'm posting these long form videos. Yesterday it was like 41 minutes, 13 minutes, 17 minutes. Today it's gonna be like 25 probably. And we're posting these videos, and again, you can see I just hit 1,000 subs like a week ago. And these videos are averaging, like this has 8 views, 21 views, 29 views, 11 views. Like these videos are not getting that many views versus like this video here. I know you can't see it. This one got like 100 or so views. This one got a few hundred views. This one got a few hundred views. So like they're not getting that many views. They're not optimized to go viral. And I heard Ryan Klug talking about this. He's like, going viral, I know as a marketer like the 25 things that I need to be doing to like get these videos to go viral. Like I could go viral if I wanted to, but I just don't want to do them. I would rather focus on the business than go out and do these things to try to go viral, right? And so what I'm doing here to like basically get that still viral element, to get some views to it. And again, I haven't done this past 2 days. I did one video for the first day and it got like 25 views from that, or 20 views from that. I made this video of like literally covering one of the main topics. Like in this one, you might even come from a short to this video. I'm going to make a video on like these 3 things. One is the validation cycle. I'm going to make a short on the outbound strategy, and then I'm going to make a short on basically content going antiviral. Then we post them to YouTube, and they automatically get repurposed. I use Instagram as like my main platform, so I always start out with Instagram. I use the edits app so that it's more likely to go viral in the Instagram app. And then, sorry, the landscapers are like cranking out there. Hopefully it's not like super loud on this. But basically, yeah, I'm gonna have to pause it. All right, hopefully they don't come back. It's like mad loud. But I post to Instagram. After it gets posted, I automatically have it send me a message in Slack whenever a new short gets posted. So I just do that through Zapier. The reason I use Zapier is that I don't have to use up all my Make.com automation runs constantly checking for it. I guess I could use N8N too. I should probably move that over, but not super high leverage. Every time I post a short and it gets actually pushed out to YouTube, because it'll take like 20, 30 minutes after I post it, then I can go in there and basically add this button here that basically takes them directly to the long form. This has been doing really well to actually like promote the long form videos. So that's kind of like the content strategy I've been using. It's been working very well, and this is just like an instant hack, because these videos like automatically, literally it doesn't matter how shit the video is, it will get like 1,000 views. I think YouTube's low-key like lying about how many views. But yeah. So that's kind of like the weekly recap. We are validating a new offer. We are testing out some new outbound strategies and having the team test that. We're also cranking with ads for our clients. We got a few new case studies, and we're also going to start launching some case studies on Instagram. I might talk about like the importance of that. I think tomorrow I'm going to do a paid ads Q&A. So I just put up a poll this morning on my story. Basically on my IG story. So if you have paid ads questions and you're going to get to them before tomorrow, you're going to get onto my story before tomorrow, go leave them there. If not, leave them in the comments of this YouTube video. I'll be happy to answer them either tomorrow or in the future when I do Q&As as well. But yeah. So, if you found value in this, again, pay the fee. I'm not going to pitch you on anything, but if you do want to connect with me, I would love to connect with you. Here's my personal cell, so shoot me a text. Again, I do this to attract talent. I do this to actually gain a network, and that's kind of what my goal is. So, yeah, I'd love to connect with you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.